Death to Chronos.
So today is the day. After more than a year of early access, Hades 2 has officially hit version 1.0, and I can finally say this, the wait was absolutely worth it. I've been following this game since the early access launch back in May 2024, and as someone who spent way too many hours escaping from the underworld in the original Hades, I can tell you that Supergiant Games has done something really special here. Today we're diving into everything that makes this 1.0 release significant, what's changed since early access, and why this might be the one of the strongest roguelike releases we've seen in years.
He is no mere titan. He is time itself, and time cannot be stopped.
If you've been waiting for the full Hades 2 experience, or if you're just hearing about this game for the first time, this video will cover everything you need to know about what just launched today. Let's start with the big news. During a recent Nintendo Direct presentation, Supergiant Games officially announced that Hades 2 would be leaving early access and hitting version 1.0 today, September 25th, 2025. This isn't just another patch, this is the complete game with the full story, final balancing, and all the polish that comes with a proper 1.0 release. The game is launching day 1 on Windows PC through Steam and Epic Games Store, macOS, and both the original Nintendo Switch and the new Switch 2. Now, here's something important for console players to know. This is a timed exclusive on Nintendo platforms. PlayStation and Xbox versions are definitely coming, but Supergiant hasn't announced firm dates for those yet. So if you're waiting to play this on your PlayStation or Xbox, you'll need to be patient a bit longer. For anyone wondering about pricing, the full retail version is sitting at around $30, which feels pretty reasonable for what you're getting. There's also a physical edition coming for Nintendo Switch 2 on November 20th, and that's one compatible with the original Switch 2. The physical version includes some nice extras like a character compendium booklet, the soundtrack, and the reversible cover. What makes this release feel different from just another game launch is how much development we've all witnessed. This isn't a game that appeared out of nowhere. We need to talk about the early access period because it's been fascinating to watch. Hades 2 entered early access on PC back in May 2024, and I was there from day one. What struck me immediately was how much content was already in the game. We're talking about a level of polish and content that rivaled with many games shipped at full release. But here's what made the early access period special. Supergiant Games didn't just dump the game and disappear. They've been incredibly active with updates. We've seen major updates like the Warsong update and the Unseen update, each bringing new weapons, gods, bosses, story content, and tons of balance changes. The patch history shows at least 11 significant patches before this 1.0 release, and that doesn't even count the smaller hotfixes. As someone who played through each of these updates, I can tell you that watching this game evolve has been something else. It felt like being part of the development process but without any of the actual work. The community feedback loop has been really strong too. When players pointed out balance issues or quality of life improvements, Supergiant was responsive. Not instantly, because good games development takes time, but you could see player feedback actually influencing the direction of update. For anyone who missed the early access period, you're jumping into a game that's been refined through more than a year of real player feedback and iteration. So what does version 1.0 actually bring to the table? The biggest thing is story completion. If you played early access, you know that the main narrative wasn't finished. Now it is. Without spoiling anything, I can say that the story focuses on Melinoë, who is the daughter of Hades and sister to Zagreus from the first game. She's facing off against Chronos, the Titan of Time, and that setup leads to some really interesting mythological territory. The 1.0 update wraps up that main story arc, delivers final polishing and balancing across the game's systems, and fixes many of the issues that players raised during early access. The core gameplay loop that made the original Hades so compelling is still here. Fast-paced combat, evolving builds through divine boons from Greek gods, and that perfect balance of progression and challenge that keeps you saying just one more run. But it isn't just Hades with a new coat of paint. The boon system has been expanded. There are new gods offering different types of powers, and the weapon variety feels more diverse than what we had in the original. Each weapon type has its own feel and opens up different tactical approaches to encounters. The role-like structure remains, but the story integration feels even smoother this time around. Instead of feeling like story scenes are interrupting your runs, everything flows together naturally. You're progressing through the underworld, encountering new characters, learning more about the world, and it all feeds back into your motivation for the next run. Performance-wise, if you're on Steam Deck, you're in good shape. The game is Steam Deck verified and runs smoothly with solid frame rates. The response from players has been really interesting to watch. Most of the early access community seems genuinely excited about finally getting the complete experience. There has been a lot of appreciation for how responsive Supergiant has been to community feedback throughout the early access period. That said, there are some concerns floating around. The timed console exclusivity has definitely frustrated some players who are hoping to play on PlayStation or Xbox right away. When you've been waiting for a game and it launches everywhere except your preferred platform, that's understandably annoying. There are also some questions about how the game will perform on less powerful hardware, particularly the original Nintendo Switch. The early access period was primarily on PC, so this is the first time we're really seeing how the game runs on console hardware at scale. But for the most part, the community seems ready for this. Early access players are excited to see the story conclusion. Newcomers are jumping in with the benefit of more than a year of refinement and polish. The timing feels right. Speaking of timing, releasing in September puts Hades 2 in competition with some other major releases this year, but the roguelike audience tends to be pretty dedicated. If you love this genre, you're probably going to make time for this regardless of what else is launching. I want to get a bit personal here, because this game has been part of my gaming routine for over a year now. When I first played the original Hades, it completely changed how I thought about roguelike. The way it balanced permanent progression with run-based challenge, the way it used story to motivate gameplay loops was special. Starting Hades 2 in early access brought back the same feeling, but with the added element of watching it grow. I've been there for each design iteration, seeing new weapons get introduced, watching balance changes shift the meta, experiencing new story content as it got added. There's something really satisfying about being part of that development journey. What impressed me the most was how the game felt substantial even in early access. This wasn't a bare bones alpha build. From day one, there was enough content to keep you engaged for dozens of hours, but seeing it grow into this complete experience has been amazing. I can't wait to dive into the complete story now that version 1.0 is here. After more than a year of early access runs, I am ready to see how this all concludes. So here's where we stand. Hades 2 version 1.0 is available right now on PC, Mac, and Nintendo Switch. If you're on other platforms, you're waiting for now, but that wait will probably be worth it given how much polish this game has received. At $30, this feels like solid value for what you're getting. We're talking about a complete roguelike experience with the kind of story integration and polish that Supergiant Games has become known for. If you loved the original Hades, this is an easy recommendation. If you're new to the series, this is a great entry point that benefits from everything the developers learned from the first game. The physical edition coming in November is a nice option if you prefer owning games physically, and those extras sound genuinely useful. Looking at the broader gaming landscape, Hades 2 represents something that feels incredibly rare. A sequel that respects what made the original special while building on it in meaningful ways. It's not trying to reinvent everything, it's trying to perfect what was already working. For anyone who has been part of the early access journey, today feels like a celebration. For newcomers, you're jumping into a game that has been refined for more than a year of player feedback and development iteration. Whether you're planning to marathon this tonight or add it to your backlog for later, Hades 2 version 1.0 is finally here, and based on everything I've experienced over the past year, it was worth the wait. What are your thoughts on this release? Have you been following the early access period, or this is your first time learning about Hades 2? Let me know in the comments what you're most excited about, and if you end up picking it up, I'd love to hear your first impression. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!